Blue rat. Blue rat.
All right.
Blue rat.
Care to explain?
Okay, that was a song I made up when I was painting a rat.
Yep.
And I was using blue.
It wasn't even. There was barely any blue on that.
He
rat.
turned out. It was actually Payne's Gray. But I started with the Payne's Gray.
Oh.
So, and I didn't really know where I was going. He ended up being pink with red and blue. And yellow. And he was cool. And he wasn't even a rat. He had a bird head.
I fucking the levels. Oh, brother.
That's okay.
All right,
wait, which one am I? Am I the one on the top?
You're on top.
Ooh.
We're switching things up.
100% switch.
Nintendo BDSM.
Yeah.
Well.
So anyway, we're here with Brady Fellows. You had something you wanted to talk about?
Thanks for having me.
I need to clean. Hey, you're wearing those socks again.
Oh shit! Oh, we should talk about that.
Yeah. Wait, I don't think I'm wearing those today. Oh, I am! What the fuck? Wait,
So
are
this
these
is-
the same company?
Oh yeah.
Oh damn, yeah.
This is now the second time that's
Jeez.
happened.
God, what the fuck? It makes me feel like I'm a sheeple or
We
something.
were at a party, and
Should have worn my BTS socks.
and I had my shoes off, and one of the guys there was like, "Oh, I have those socks. I'm not wearing them, but I have them." And then Kevin was like, "Wait, yeah, Kevin's been on this."
Yeah.
Or he was.
Yeah,
we
they know
played
Kevin.
Wizard 101 with Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin was like, "Wait," and he took off his shoes, and he was wearing the same socks. And then then everybody was like, "Mike," and then he took off his shoes, and you were wearing the same
They're
socks.
Just black Hanes socks with gray on the bottom. I guess they're just really popular with our demographic. It's weird.
Yeah, it was an entirely white male 18 to 24 demographic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was very, very strange that all of us had that, and so then we had to check socks at the door, see who
We
could
had to
get in.
compare socks.
Sock measuring contest.
Hell yeah.
How big is your sock?
So anyway, well, that was all there was to that story.
Yeah. I was going to talk about something.
We were talking about...
Oh, I was talking about how I don't like going back to my hometown because it reminds me of when I had no self-confidence and I was anxious and
Yeah.
ashamed all the time for no reason, and I don't think I can live there.
But are there things... You were saying, like, you miss it, though, sometimes, like, when you're not there?
Kind of.
Because that's how I feel about, like, California and, like, my grandma's house and stuff. Because I was saying, like, I hate my grandma, and I have a lot of bad memories from there. But I also, like, I love the way my grandma's house smells. I also have a lot of good memories from there. And I like the way her house looks and stuff. And I like San Jose in general. But, yeah, it's weird. It's like when I'm not there, sometimes I feel nostalgia towards it. But I know that if I went back, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I don't know if I do feel any nostalgia for that. I feel nostalgia for my other hometown in Iowa because that was great, and I was too young to like have dealt with any heavy issues of adolescence there.
Yeah.
I was only 8 at the oldest. And of course, I understand that that's like the rose-colored glasses, the gold-tinted lies of nostalgia.
Yeah, it's like those probably were more shit than you even think they were.
Got a punk. Is this a slur?
Thunk? No.
I'm gonna say kunk. Sounds like a slur.
It sounds like, yeah. I don't know why. Anything that's like one syllable.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like cuck.
Yeah, well, cuck isn't a slur.
But it could be.
Yeah.
With your donations, we can
Once again,
persecute
asking
cucks
for-
even harder.
For
Cuckoldry. I am no longer asking. Well, what was I saying? I don't really want to go back there because no matter what I do, it's like it instantly makes negative progress. I instantly regress into that person when I go back there.
Yeah.
I lose my confidence, and I just feel worse when I'm there.
I wonder if those birds are gonna pick up on the mic.
Probably not.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, I go back and all the confidence and like happiness that I've experienced here, and even like I was pretty miserable my freshman year here. Not depressed, I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
But that went away really quickly.
Yeah.
And now all my memories here are, if they're not all like incredibly happy.
Yeah.
But they're all good, and I had confidence, and I was working hard, and so it's good, and I like being here in Tucson.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I go back, it's like that all. I go back to the person I was when I lived in Tempe, elementary to high school.
Yeah.
And I don't like that because I feel anxious and self-conscious again. And like my job, I'm good at my job. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
But as soon as I walk in, I feel like a child again.
When you go to Tempe?
Yeah, when I go to the place
Weren't
where I
you
work.
planning on moving back there?
Yeah, for a little while.
Are you not going to do that anymore?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm going to... I was never planning on moving back there for very long. No more than a year.
Yeah.
6 months if I could help it.
Yeah.
Because I love my parents, but I cannot live with them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I need too much of my own space.
I need to get the fuck out, too.
I am too much of my own person.
Yeah.
I can't live in that house anymore. It's nice to visit.
Mm-hmm.
I like my house.
Yeah.
But it's very odd. It's just I have so many memories of being this anxious teenager in that town that I don't know if I can ever shake it.
That's interesting.
Because I go back there now, and of course I have plenty of happy memories too, but
Yeah.
they're all, I don't know. I'll go there, like this is a weird thing that happened. When I was there over summer and over winter break, I was doing work and I was enjoying it. And then, or no, summer I kind of hated, but over winter I was enjoying the work and I got into a little bit of a rhythm. And now thinking back on it, I kind of dread going back.
Oh.
So I don't know what I'm going to do.
You could try to get a new job.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
I have been there 5.5 years.
Huh.
So, but it's not like, and God forbid anybody from my job hears this, but everyone there has been, you know, as much as everyone anywhere can be, really, really nice to me.
Oh, okay.
And
I thought you were going to go the other way. I think you were going to say they've been fucking bad.
they've been awful.
Yeah.
No, everybody there, everybody at the place where I work, it's not on them. It's just the way that I have felt, and they all have been so nice, and like more than ever, I feel belittled when I go back, not by anyone, just by being there. I feel as though my self-worth is
That's
demeaned.
really interesting, yeah.
Like here, I'm confident in my ability, and I know that I am capable, and I go
Yeah.
back and I lose all of that.
That's weird.
And so it's very debilitating emotionally.
I get that sometimes when I hear certain songs that were popular when I was in like my worst mental state ever.
I get that.
You ever get that
Mhm.
too? And it's like, oh man, I remember when this song was brand new and I hated my life.
Yeah, I have songs like that. I can't think of any right now because I don't think I would have saved them like on Spotify.
No,
or anything.
and I think most of them are ones I didn't even like. Like one of them was the Every Day I'm Shuffling song.
Oh God.
That, and not just because it's a bad song, but also just because like that was at a horrible time in my life. Like anything from like that era is just fucking ball cancer to me. But
Oh God.
you know what was thinking about though is I'm thinking about this phenomenon of how like sometimes the amount of bad things that are going on in your life isn't necessarily directly correlated with your happiness at any particular point in time.
You're right. Yeah.
Because it's like me being here in college, like I've had a lot of really great times and also a lot of like really bad things have happened to me, and yet I still feel like I've been the happiest I've ever been in my entire life throughout this experience. And there have also been times in my life where like nothing particularly bad was going on and I felt miserable.
That's me and Tempe.
Yeah.
Nothing bad was going on. My life was easy. I was doing well in everything that I did.
Yeah.
But I was convinced that I was bad at things, or I was convinced that I was not worthless. That's really too much. But
Is
like,
this made with water?
yeah.
It's so damn good for being made with water.
Hell yeah.
It tastes like it has milk in it. Anyway, go on.
Welcome to Cocoa Boys.
Oh yeah.
So that's what you're right. I have no, if I look through all my memories and I remove that veil of weird anxiety and stress and sadness around it, all the memories are fine.
Yeah.
Like they're all fine, but they're all tinged with that, and I can't shake it.
Yeah.
And everything I do there has that feeling to it.
Yeah.
I just have too many associations to go back and be fine.
Yeah.
This is very, very unfortunate because it's a nice town.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people there, and it's my hometown, so...
That's interesting.
That's where Penis Man was.
Well, there's something... Cause it's weird like that because it's like... The way I feel about my grandma's house, it's like... I have good... I feel kind of like that. Like, I would still go back there, but I probably would feel bad in some areas. But it depends because it's like I have good memories and bad memories, so it's like... I feel like it's very circumstantial. Like, I feel like sometimes I would go back and I would feel... good and nostalgic about like good memories and stuff, and then other times I wouldn't, so it's like it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
And then there's other places like I would never want to go back to where I lived in like Tennessee, because that was a time when both like I felt really miserable and also things were really bad. And like looking back on them now, they're like the situation I was in was even worse than I think I realized at the time. So it's like there's like nothing redeemable about that at all.
Oh God.
But it's like that's just one place though, and it's like it's different from place to place. Because there are places like there's some places in Germany where like I feel like Germany I had some bad things too, but it was mostly good experiences, and I feel like I'd be mostly nostalgic to go back to Europe and visit it and walk around and stuff.
It's a shame that you can attach something negative to a place
It's
and then
bizarre.
you can't go back there without feeling that way.
That's like the most practical concept of what a ghost is.
Oh wow, that's
Isn't it?
really yeah.
Because that's like I almost kind of think like that's the reality analog to what ghosts represent in fiction. It's like ghosts in fiction, that's just an exaggerated version of that very real feeling that humans have, and that's why there's haunted houses, because like, and there haunted houses are always like a tragedy happened there, and like in real life, it's like even a house can be like a place where something still haunts it, you know?
Yeah, and then there's the power of suggestion that if you're told that it's haunted and that there was a tragedy there, then it's human nature to project those emotions onto your surroundings.
We make an association, like Winchester, like it could be just like nothing more than wood, you know, but everyone feels this aura of mystery around it, which I've been there several times. And it's very
Wait, where is this?
Winchester Mystery House. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's it was the house that the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland was designed after.
Oh.
It's a big mansion by it was owned by the guy who made the Winchester rifle.
Oh,
and his wife, after Mr. Winchester died and she was widowed, she became paranoid that all the ghosts of the people who were killed by the Winchester rifle were going to come back and haunt her and get revenge on her. So she kept building on and on to this mansion to try to confuse the ghosts. And she made a bunch of weird things. Like she made like doors that don't lead to any room. They just lead to like the outside wall, because she thought it would trick ghosts and make them like fall off the edge and things like that. And there's a whole bunch of weird trick shit in there. And it's super fascinating.
That's really cool.
And I used to live next to there. I used to live like really close, like an hour away.
It's in California?
Yeah. It's in, I don't remember exactly what town, but it's near San Jose where I lived. I went there when I was little, and I went there when I was older. And my high school prom date claims that her grandmother knew, or great-grandmother knew the Mrs. Winchester person.
Oh, wow.
So assuming that she was telling the truth, that's really interesting.
I have a related story, a related grandma knowing story.
Cool.
You know the movie Patch Adams?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I don't even know what it's about.
Yeah, it's about a doctor who wore a clown nose, I guess. But apparently my grandma is good friends with the person who wrote the book that movie is based on.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's Robin Williams, right?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I haven't seen it, but yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, she's good friends with... I had no clue. My grandma told me that yesterday.
That's interesting.
After buying me watercolors.
My
Thank
uncle
you,
One of my uncles was friends with Trent Reznor, the lead
Oh,
singer
awesome.
of Nine Inch Nails.
That's
and
really
there's
cool.
pictures of them together and stuff.
That's really cool. I want to get into Nine Inch Nails.
Oh, I love them. They're so cool.
Specifically because, well, I like Depeche Mode, and they just seem like the next more industrial
Yeah,
step.
they're pretty in there.
And their logo is simply phenomenal.
Yeah, I have a CD you can borrow if you want.
I have a Spotify.
Oh.
I can exploit their music and have them not get a dime.
Well, that's
Piracy,
how it works,
Spotify
man.
is a victimless crime.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. But the other thing I was thinking about was how, like, I think my theory is that most people in general are at least a little bit more fucked up than they think they are. Generally, like, most people deny any kind of mental issues or distress, and they try to go about their daily lives. And I think that's why I think therapy for everyone. It's like you don't have to be diagnosed with a mental illness. You don't have to be experiencing severe suffering. It's just like talk to therapists or just talk to your friends, talk to anyone. It's like I wish I could help. I can't do it obviously, but I wish I could help everyone just like be more comfortable with being vulnerable. And it's like, hey, I just had a fucking shitty day and not be ashamed of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's so fucking healthy.
the strength it takes to talk through stuff is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you don't realize it. It's weird. It's like I think that's one of the things people deny that they're having any issues because that's a way of avoiding having to own up to the fact that you actually are having issues. Like you don't have to face that fact and you don't have to worry about the fear of talking to people about it and things like that.
It's a real Band-Aid solution though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am really mesmerized by the idea of like the practical analog to ghosts.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think about that. That's really interesting.
I'm not the one who came up with that, but I don't remember where I heard it. I think I've heard it from several different things. And
It's a common metaphor. I just never related it to my own situation.
Well, I love to think about all things in mythology as like whether or not the people who came up with fictional things actually thought they were real or they were intentional using it as a metaphor. They're always practical for some kind of metaphor, or you can learn from them something that you can take into your practical life.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
With like, I mean, anything, like, because anything can really represent so many things. Like even like fairies or dragons or something. It's like they all represent some kind of aspect of the human experience that's very real, even if they aren't physically real or anything. You know. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to that fairy tale thing with Yana.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't looked into any fairy tales I want to do.
Me neither, but I want to do something deep and earthy and folky and something like that, you know, like
What's the name of the guy May loves? That artist who
Arthur Rackham.
Yes, I fell in love with that guy. I need to look up
It's
more of his art.
amazing.
It's
His stuff
I love
is so
shit
cool.
like that. I love delving back into like natural looking art and trees and nature and stuff. It's something that I find very hard for myself to focus on for some reason, but I do genuinely love it. I love nature and stuff.
Yeah, I love just I can't remember what it was. It was some stupid Tumblr post that I saw that was like shit, I'm not going to be able to do it justice, but it was basically the difference between English, like British romanticism and American romanticism.
Oh,
or something
interesting.
like that.
Which one came first? It was probably English, right?
Yeah, I think so, but American romanticism... Hold on. Let me look this up.
Was Edgar Allan Poe American or British?
He lived in Baltimore, didn't he?
I don't know.
I think he did. I'm pretty sure.
He seems very British, but
yet,
I wouldn't know. Yeah,
yeah.
because he was considered a romantic.
I'm not even sure it was romanticism. I don't know.
I never even considered that there was a difference, but I guess
It's just a funny post, but I really actually...
is it talking about like modern romanticism or like old romanticism?
Old romanticism.
I like a lot of things about romanticism and a lot of things I don't like about it. For all the shit it gets, Tumblr's got some okay things.
Yeah, I'll read it. British Romanticism. I went into the woods and I found a beautiful woman, but she wasn't really a woman. She was my muse, and the woods is my mind. American Romanticism. I went into the woods and found the devil, and he gave me a clock, but the clock was actually the Industrial Revolution, and it fucking killed me.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
fucking killed me.
It fucking killed
That's
me.
cool. I like that, actually.
Yeah, so I want to do something. I love those heavy metaphors using natural imagery.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting.
It's basically all of human art, but whatever.
Oh, yeah, maybe. There's probably exceptions. But what I was going to say is I remember this fairy tale I read a long time ago, because I still have it somewhere, a big book of Grimm's fairy tales, like, unedited from, like, they're still, like, the dark versions and stuff. And there was one I read, I don't remember what it's called, but it was about this guy who was, like, really greedy, and he ate a lot, and he was, like, kind of a glutton, and, he did something bad. I don't remember what it was, but what happened, his punishment for whatever he did was that there was a giant toad that like jumped onto his face.
Whoa.
And it held onto his face forever, and it was like, oh, it was something like, if you don't, it's like now you have to like keep eating or I'll eat you or something. It was something weird like that. And then it was like he had to live the rest of his life like that. I need to find it and read it again because it was really weird and I loved it. And I might do something like that.
Face hugger.
Yeah.
The original face hugger.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Hold on. I got a sneeze brewing.
I'll make sure to add an echo to it.
Well, it's gone now. I'm laughing about it.
I hate latent sneezes that don't fulfill.
The thought of an echoing sneeze is really funny. Spelunking alone in a cave at night and you hear this and it's just a fart with reverb.
Spelunking sounds really scary.
Yeah. I hate underground spaces.
I feel like, I don't know if I would want to
stand
try
them.
it or not. I mean,
The idea of like a tight underground tunnel, the worst.
the thing that scares me is riptides.
Oh yeah,
Getting
I've heard
caught
about
in a
them.
riptide and getting caught down in like an underground cave that you can't get out of. That was like the scariest thing ever to me. And I'm not even like afraid of the ocean or anything, but that particularly is.
Well, riptides you can generally swim parallel and get out of.
That's what I've heard. You're supposed to kind of ride with it.
Yeah.
But it's just like there have been like cases of like children getting sucked under rocks and getting stuck and stuff and then just drowning.
Yeah. I hear drowning's nice at the end. But who
you
would I hear
die.
that from?
Well, that's like, yeah, I know. It's like it's like when people say the eye of a tornado is really peaceful.
No, the eye of a hurricane is peaceful.
Or a hurricane, yeah.
Well,
a tornado would kill you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I meant.
Well, but it is. That's just a fact.
Well, yeah, I know.
People have seen them.
I guess there are people who have done that and survived.
Yeah, tons. Hurricanes don't kill everybody they go over.
Some of them are okay.
Some of them are nice. Hashtag not all natural disasters.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Let's just look at the dinios.
Hey.
If that hadn't happened, we'd not be here, probably.
And flowers wouldn't be.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Just like Mr. Daniel Avadaniel has spoken.
I like dinosaurs.
I'm rewatching Sonic Adventure.
Oh, me too! Oh, yeah, that's right. We started it together at the Indian place.
It's so damn fun.
I haven't watched any since that day, but it is really funny.
It's really fun. It was the first one I watched of the entire Game Grumps channel, and
I think mine was
I still love it.
My first one, I think, was Dennis the Menace or something. That was like my introduction.
Amazing. I just finally washed all of Mario Sunshine.
Oh, you finished it?
Yeah, it was
Cool.
really good.
Yeah, it made me want to play that game again because I grew up with that game, and I played that for like 3 years or something, like straight. Like I loved the shit out of that game.
It looked really pretty.
It
in
is.
a way.
And you know what's weird? I have this weird thing about games nowadays where it's like, games nowadays, to me, it doesn't seem like there's as much to do in them, or they're not as much of a challenge, or they don't last as long. And I don't know. I think it's probably me, like just having more natural skill towards things like that makes me able to finish them sooner. Because like Mario Odyssey didn't take me that long at all, but I remember like Luigi's Mansion and Pikmin and Mario Sunshine took me like years to ever get to the end.
Wow.
And so it's like, and so I had like these great memories of them because it took so long. And it was probably just because I was a little kid and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, you did. You probably lacked both the attention span and the natural
Yeah.
skill to do them quickly.
Yeah, because if I didn't get something completed after a while, I would just be like, I'm gonna. What would always happen is I'd get a new game and I'd move on to that without completing the old one, and then I'd come back to the old one and work on it more, and then switch, and then work on it more, and then switch, and it would take forever.
I really wish. I'm I'm trying to get rid of all the unnecessary stuff in my life and just really focus on artwork and things
I
like
see
that.
when I'm not wanted.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I've not gotten rid of you.
Well, just kiss me
Therefore,
then.
there's microphones in the way. I can't. Yeah, there's nothing I can do. But I enjoy playing video. I've stopped playing Overwatch. It just does. It
God.
doesn't feel fun to me
We're
anymore.
about to have an intervention.
Yeah. It's not fun to me anymore. I still respect it as a great game, but the community's awful and it's not the right game for me.
Yeah.
Jeff Kaplan, I love you, dude. You're doing great work.
Who
But
dat?
Mr. Overwatch.
He made it?
No, well, he's the head of the team. I don't know who made it. But anyway, yeah, great game. Lots of fun. Played it for years. Drove me insane. Made me as angry as I've ever been. So I stopped. And I haven't missed it at all. But playing video games is really fun. I really enjoy games, but I don't know how to balance them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to devote myself to art and still enjoy playing a video game.
Huh.
And enjoy just, I don't know. Maybe it's got to be a video game that actually makes me feel good.
That's why I typically play games like Plants vs. Zombies, where it's like a little task game. And it's kind of just like, it's something, I like games that like they build on themselves instead of like you have to get to the next level or whatever. Or I mean, I guess they do that in Plants vs. Zombies, but it's like, I just like games that are casual and fun, and I can just work on them while I'm like waiting for something to print or like, bullshit like that. I don't really get into games like I used to.
Yeah, and maybe the thing with Overwatch and the reason it was so infuriating and distracting is that it's designed for you to play a lot to get really good at.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of first-person shooters are.
Yeah.
It's designed to be competitive. It's designed to be highly competitive.
I don't really like competitive things.
I don't anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't do them.
I just prefer to like, I don't know. I'm not that competitive of a person in general. I think that's why I never really took to sports that much.
I was really competitive, and I'm not sure if sports were the best or worst thing I ever did.
Yeah.
But no, it can't be the worst. But it's certainly...
Well, there's good things about sports.
Certainly in sports, it was okay for me to be competitive, and I don't think
that's
that
what they're for.
that didn't help me.
Oh, I see.
Because it was a self-worth thing
that
I was trying to get out.
Yeah.
And so being competitive when I played baseball, everyone was like, he's just playing hard. It's good.
I used to get really nervous about art for a while. Like, I think I talked about this once before. It's like, because most of my life I never really got nervous about drawing because I knew I had skill and I liked to do it. There was a time, like in the beginning of college, where I was really worried about my art skills because for some reason I was attaching my self-worth to my ability to make art. And then I eventually got over that.
Yeah, I had that a ton. You know, Hannah?
Which one? Blonde?
Yeah, I was going to say last name, but
okay,
not here.
Let's not dox anyone.
Yeah, let's please. We have a classmate. Actually, let's bleep the first name too.
Okay.
But you know who I'm talking about. I was so like competitively threatened by her work.
Oh.
Because I had her in FYE classes, and she's very, very talented.
She is, yeah. I still feel that way every once in a while about people, but I've mostly gotten over it.
Every once in a while, I will see something that I'm like, yikes, dude. When did I fall behind? But it's really not that. It's just like somebody had a really great day. And it's so impossible beyond a certain threshold of artistic skill and like basic knowledge to even compare directly.
Yeah.
You just can't. It's just not. It's all art, but it's not the same art. You're not all drawing the same image.
Yeah.
You're not all talking about the same things. You're all different people.
Well, you know what's weird?
I luckily worked that through and I got over it.
For me, when I get jealous of other people's art or other artists, it's not usually about technical skill. Like sometimes I get that where it's like, whoa, that's incredible. I wish I could draw like that. But usually it happens more about like when someone comes up with something incredibly creative or clever or original, and it's like, oh man, I don't feel as original anymore. And then like I like it's like, man, I wish I was creative as this person. That's usually what I used to get jealous about, and now I'm kind of over that too.
That's what I get jealous about now.
Oh, I see.
But it's not an intense jealousy like it was before.
Yeah.
And it's moved more to like the conceptual side.
Like a good kind of jealousy, you mean?
Yeah, mostly. I would say it's neutral.
I mean, I don't know if any kind of jealousy is good. But
yeah, as
like,
far
you can have a healthy amount, I guess.
it's neutral at best. It drives me a little, but also like there have been times when it's made me feel bad because my whole life I've struggled with the fact that I have good technical ability, but I'm not really that creative.
Mm-hmm.
And that is difficult for me. I don't know. Things don't flow out of me.
I think for me, like,
It's very odd.
things flow out of me really easily, and I don't know why. But I always struggled with the appearance that I am not intelligent because, like, sometimes I don't understand things that other people think are really basic, or because things like basic math and English are really hard for me. And so a lot of the time, especially in like late middle school, early high school, I was very obsessed with looking like I was smarter than I actually was. And that was because I was really insecure, because a lot of people I didn't even like just assume that people thought I was stupid. It's like I knew people thought I was stupid because they called me stupid. So it's like I felt kind of ashamed for being this guy who just comes up with this wacky bullshit all the time, because I thought that was a sign that I was an idiot or something. And I don't feel that way anymore. Now
I'm glad.
I feel that like
don't.
being able to come up with like nonsense bullshit, as long as you've come to the place where you're aware that it's nonsense and that it doesn't make sense, and that you can use that knowledge as humor, then it becomes intelligence. It becomes like a kind of like a skill of its own.
Absolutely.
You know,
And just the fact that your brain is able to generate stuff so quickly.
well, it's weird because like I mean that's I don't even feel like, I mean I'm proud of it and it's part of my identity, but it's not like something that I worked up to. Because when I was like 4 or 5 years old, there was a playground near our house. We lived on a military base, and there was a playground on the base that was full of sand, and I nicknamed that playground the Bucket Hair Wig. And
Wow.
I don't know why. And people asked me why I named it that, and I said because there are buckets there, and because people go there and they have hair, and some of them have wigs. And,
Wow.
And eventually, lots of other people in our neighborhood, like my mom's friends and her kids, started calling it the Bucket Hair Wig. It makes no sense, but it caught on for some reason.
Got ourselves a title.
Yeah! Perfect! So the Bucket Hair Wig.
Oh, man.
It'll be great. So it's like I've always just been really good, and it's probably because of like my ADHD and other things. I don't know. It's just that's the way my brain works. But I'm bad at like making things coherent and being able to focus on things for a really long time if it's not something I'm already interested in. And a lot of that has been like made me have a negative image about myself as well.
That's really... I had no idea, but that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's very strange. I've talked about it on here before, I'm sure, but how I changed my definition of intelligence.
I do, but I don't remember. I remember you saying that.
I used to think it was the sort of intelligence that you're told it makes someone smart.
Oh, like knowing things?
Like knowing things, or being good at math, or being able to do certain smart people things. And it's just not. It's intelligence has almost nothing to do with your brain.
That is, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess...
in the purest... Nothing to do with the physical abilities of your brain.
I guess not.
That's how I feel.
It depends on what you think. Well, I don't know. One way that my physics teacher in high school, who is like one of my favorite people, and he taught me a lot because he was also like really like a wise person. And he once told me that like intelligence has nothing to do with how much you know. Intelligence is the ability to look at lots of different things and make connections between them.
That's a really good...
Because that's what creativity is. You know, creativity is like, I look at artwork from this person or from this time period, and I look at things in my life and things that are happening in my past and in my present, and I can take things that are similar from all these things that seem disparate from someone who hasn't seen the same nuances that you have, and you can bring them all together and make something original. And that's what creativity and intelligence are, and that exists like within mathematics and science and literature and any field, like, because people don't think of like math as like a creative field, but I think it is, because actual mathematicians don't sit down and do algebra. It's like they have to think about all these different disciplines of mathematics and all these abstract ideas that are incredible, and they take these things and they're able to put them together and create original ideas that can solve problems that most people don't even think about.
And they take all this myriad evidence in the form of other equations or mathematical laws, and they turn them into, they use it to define some aspect of the universe, which is incredible.
It really is.
I guess you've summed it up better than I did, which is that my definition of intelligence has shifted away from smarts and to basically it's creativity. I think creativity and intelligence are nearly the same thing.
I think so too. And because I used to be the same. Like, I used to think intelligence was just like, oh, I can know everything and I'm skilled at everything and I have all this arcane knowledge that isn't really useful.
I think you mean archaic.
What does arcane mean?
Magic, but that would be really fucking cool.
Okay, yeah, I think it did mean archaic. I don't know why I said arcane.
No, that's awesome.
But but see, yeah, there you go. That was like the kind of thing that would have embarrassed me when I was little.
I apologize. I just thought it was funny.
It doesn't bother me anymore, because now I lean into it. Now it's like, oh, I made a mistake, and now I can just laugh at it because who fucking cares? But
I'm finally starting to get that way.
I'm so glad.
Thank God.
It's like, I mean, it took me a long time too. And I feel kind of weird because I feel like I put out an air of like intense confidence, and I'm like some of the time, and I'm glad I do, because I do outrageous things sometimes, but I still feel insecure a lot, and I still feel like I doubt myself, and I think that that's a healthy way to be. Like, having no self-doubt at all is like a really dangerous way to be, I think, you know? It's just when it takes over is when it's a bad thing.
And I would say that, I don't know, fake it till you make it comes in at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
For part of it, unless you're unhealthily faking it.
That can be bad. Yeah, exactly. That can be bad in some situations and good in some situations. Like in the sense of when I was trying to be really smart, I would like read a bunch of books about subjects that I didn't actually care about because I wanted to look like I knew about a lot of things. And so that was just a waste of time and energy, and a lot of that I don't even remember anymore. And so I'm like, oh, why the fuck did I do that? And I didn't do a lot of art during like that time because I, in a way, kind of felt ashamed of being an artist, because for some reason I was also like, I was doubting the worth of art, because I didn't really understand philosophically. I was going through a crisis, like, why am I drawing pictures when I could be out solving cold fusion or something and not actually making a contribution to the world? But I don't feel that way anymore, because I do feel like art is a contribution to the world, and even if it isn't a contribution to the world, it's a contribution to me, and I like that about it.
Yeah, it's net good.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I think
or
so
too. It can't be worse than neutral. I don't think it could ever. I
think art can be. Well, it depends. Now it depends on what you're talking about. Bad.
Yeah.
Because we've also it's a really tricky subject, because we've also talked about, like, if I kill someone and call it art, then it's still art, but it's bad because you killed someone. But then I guess you could argue that it's like the work of art itself isn't what's bad, but the act of killing someone was, and that there's some kind of weird separation between there.
That's what I think too, because I was thinking about, like, well, what if you made Nazi propaganda? That's probably bad. Accidentally.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the intent of the art, and the art that you made itself was not harmful.
Or like if someone, there's so many examples of like songs that have been referenced by serial killers and school shooters as inspiration, and it's like, even if it's true that those things inspired those people, it's like, it's not the responsibility of the artist at all. It's the responsibility of the person who is killing people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think we've hashed and rehashed this one
Yeah.
enough, but I do think that I haven't really struggled with the I'm not doing anything for the world. Recently, just a little.
Oh, you have been or haven't been?
I haven't been until very recently
Oh.
with like the well, what am I really doing? But I think that the other thing is, um, I'll be better for the world if I'm a happy individual.
Yeah.
Going through life, enjoying it, and loving people around me.
Absolutely.
And I will do that by being an artist.
Do you want to know what's cool? So my favorite book in the world is My Name is Asher Lev.
I've never even heard of it.
It's not super famous. Well, it's famous, but it's not like a classic or anything.
Sounds familiar. Maybe
I
I've
had to
heard
read
of
it in high school, and I fell in love with it. Do you remember my painting of the lady in the bathrobe hanging on the window like a crucifix?
The Brooklyn crucifixion?
Yes, the Brooklyn crucifixion. Yeah. That was based on that book.
Oh, that's right.
Because,
you told me something about this.
because that painting was a painting that was described in the book that doesn't... Well, it actually does exist, but it was painted by the guy who wrote the book.
Oh.
But I made like my own interpretation of the descriptions in the book.
That's really cool.
And that's my favorite book because I relate so strongly to the main character, even though like it's a very like Jewish centric book because it's about like a little boy who is Jewish and he comes from a very traditional Jewish family. And I can't relate to that practically because I'm not, but I still relate to the kid and his experiences and because he's an artist, and a lot of the book deals with the question of like, what are you even doing or contributing to the world as being a famous, brilliant painter or whatever, and because like his dad is like a extreme Jewish like Philistine, like he thinks art is useless, and he tells him that, and he's like, you could have been a genius in anything else, and you had to be a genius in art. And so it's kind of interesting. I think you would really enjoy it, but I think one of my interpretations about art, because I think that all art really boils down to, as a definition, is that art is communication, but it's communication like with intent. Like I don't think it can be called art if it's not intentional. And you can argue about logo, but what about like Jackson Pollock or like stuff that's supposed to be very haphazard?
But he was intentionally making that.
It's still preconceived. It's still planned to a certain degree. Even if you're planning to do something unplanned, it's still planned.
You're right.
So it's like we've talked about this, I know, but I think that's all art can really be defined as, and I think the value of it is that it gives people, no matter who you are, a chance to learn something about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same thing with philosophy, because people also ask like, what is the value of philosophy? You know, you can't build rocket ships with it, and it's like, but your answers to philosophical questions or how you think about philosophical questions can teach you things about yourself, and that's what I think is important about them.
I think the fact that for me art teaches me about myself and makes me a happier individual and a happier person in general that's what I value about it. And I was thinking a lot, like as you were saying that, about how I could do something that would give a more concrete benefit to the world. But
Yeah,
I
like
think
building roads or something.
Yeah, that was a good concrete pun.
No, I wasn't even trying to do that. I wasn't even thinking of that.
I could give a more concrete benefit, like pouring bridges or sidewalks. But I think, like I said, and I think I accidentally said something that sort of tied everything that I believe about art up nicely, in that I believe there's more value in me being happy with my life and taking that happiness out into the world than there is with me trying to do something that the world needs and being unhappy while I do it.
We were talking about this at Kaya's house over Christmas, remember?
Maybe.
Because this happened, we were relating this to like the train thing.
The trolley problem?
Yeah, the trolley problem.
Fuck that thing.
I know, but it's relevant here because it was like...
Fuck them kids.
It was like... my argument was that like I don't want to go out and specifically like help starving people in another country because it's not a problem that I'm specifically passionate about or that I feel equipped to solve. And so I would rather instead find a cause that I'm passionate about and focus on that instead of feeling like I'm responsible and guilty for all the things that are wrong with the world that I can't control. Because I used to feel that way when I was in high school. I used to be so like distraught that like there are all these horrible things and I can't do anything about it, and it made me really upset.
So you're saying you would rather find like a problem that you care about, an instance of like a smaller problem that you care about,
Yes.
than go and try and tackle some big problem?
Yeah, because if you're doing something ingenuously, or if you feel like you're obligated to help someone out of guilt, then you're not going to have as good of an outcome as if it's something that you feel in your soul. And it's like, I need to fucking do this, you know?
Yeah.
Like what I want to do in the world, the people I want to help like LGBT people, and I want to help men who feel like they can't express themselves, and I want to help, or women or anyone who needs that. I want to help people who feel disenfranchised, and I just want to help people be more vulnerable, and that's the message that I want to get out through my art, you know? That's what I want to focus on, you know.
It's a very noble message.
And it doesn't mean that I don't care about like starving people in other countries, but it's like I can't do everything, because it's like if I was helping starving people in other countries, well then I couldn't help like sweatshop workers or victims of sex trafficking. It's like there's always another problem that you can't be responsible for, you know. Even if you're in a situation like us where we're privileged and we have good things, it's like we shouldn't feel guilty, because we're not lazy either. We're not sitting on our asses and just fucking doing nothing.
We're not neats.
Yeah, exactly.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe one day. Yeah.
We were in class the other day, and you were all of a sudden just like, I don't want to work. I want to be a neat.
I did?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No.
It was because Jeff was making you do the contact sheet.
Oh, fuck yeah. I hated that.
And you were like, I don't want to. And you just kept not doing it. You're like, I don't want to work. I want to be a neat. It was really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's see. I thought there was something else I wanted to talk about today. Anything interesting going on in your life?
Excited to keep doing watercolor.
Hell.
Yeah.
Hell.
I don't know. I had a talk with Kaya about what I'm going to do for after I graduate, and it was the first time I ever had that talk and felt good.
Oh, yeah.
What
do you want to do?
I just want to get a job that doesn't eat away at my soul, and while I do that, either full-time or part-time, whatever I need, I will just keep doing my art and just send it to everybody I can, and that's the same plan it's always been, but I had it like reaffirmed yesterday, and that was really, really good for me.
I'm kind of like that too. It's like I have a very inconcrete idea of what I want to do.
I don't know what I want to do.
I just have like a vague understanding. I have more of an idea of who I want to be than what I want to do.
Me too.
It's weird.
All I know is I draw and I paint sometimes.
Yeah.
And I do both of those things decently well, and trying to find some way to use that.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think you're going to stay in Tucson then?
I don't know.
I don't know if I'm going to go to LA or Burbank over the summer, because I only got one response back from the many internships I applied to.
Oh, you got a response?
Well, yeah, but it said I didn't get accepted.
Oh.
But here's the thing. It was one thing from a Disney thing, and I applied to like 5 Disney things, and I only got one back that said I didn't get in, so maybe that means the other ones are considering me.
Huh, maybe.
You know, I don't know, because why wouldn't they do it at the same time?
I'm not sure.
It's weird.
As long as they were actually accepting
at
that time, it didn't just get thrown out because it was like they weren't looking for
I got emails back from everything that said we got your thing. So
that's good. Yeah.
But I don't know. So we'll see what happens there. I might go to Burbank or something, and get an internship hopefully. And if not, then I think I'm just decided just to stay here. Are you still gonna try for Orvieto?
Yeah, okay. I'm trying. They moved the commitment deadline back like 2.5 weeks because of the coronavirus thing. So that they're waiting to see how it unfolds.
I feel like I'm not as afraid of coronavirus. I'm more afraid of people being afraid of it than it.
Yeah,
right now.
it seems like we're really freaking out. And I understand. Yeah. Well, it is. I looked this up because I was curious. It is deadlier than the Spanish flu when that killed like 18 million people or whatever. Wow. but that was also 100 years ago.
That's true.
That wasn't 18 million. I don't know what it was. It killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
And this is deadlier.
Like, do you think we could survive the Black Plague nowadays?
Yeah, it's survivable now.
Yeah.
It's still an awful disease.
Does it still exist?
Yeah, it's more common in the American Southwest than anywhere else on the planet.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So that's us.
That's
right?
us.
Wow.
Squirrels have it, I think.
Oh, that's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they carry it. It's very
Whenever
weird.
I hear a thing like that, I always.
I heard that once. You can fact check that.
Well, no,
anyone
but just
listening.
stuff like that in general, it always immediately makes me get really mad at people who are anti-science.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like, come the fuck on. We can survive the Black Plague now.
Yeah, that killed 2/3 of your ancestors.
But that also made
we-
me want to talk about another thing that I thought of when we started this podcast, and that was how, like, I think a lot of science fiction, because this is when you were talking about that thing where it was like the romanticism in America and how you go into the woods and it's a metaphor about industrial revolution.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of science fiction, like literature specifically, gets a bad rap for being anti-science because a lot of it is about like technology getting out of control or humans doing things that they shouldn't with science and then creating a monster or something. And I don't really think of that as anti-science.
I think of it as anti-people. I think of it as like...
Or even like Jurassic Park or something.
It's anti-irresponsibility and corporate greed and short-sightedness.
Yeah, but I've absolutely definitely heard the argument by people on the internet or other places in like videos and documentaries that people think that science fiction writers are just ignorant about science and think it's bad and want to create fear mongering and stuff.
It's just that science is such a powerful neutral force.
Yeah.
In the hands of a
absolutely
chaotic neutral people like humans.
But you know what's weird though? Like I think the success of science to be able to create good things is a weirdly like gives me hope for humanity kind of thing, because it's like we have all this technology available for us, and obviously it has created a lot of bad things. But the amount of good things that it's created and the fact that we focus on the good things kind of sheds a good light on humans.
Yeah, science and the scientific method, it's like as close as we can hope to get to truth.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I'm thinking that art is also truth, but for a different reason.
Yeah.
Art is truth because it only supposes to be art. It only is art. It doesn't make any pretense about being some universal truth other than the fact that it is a genuine effort.
And I mean, science is kind of like that too, because science, I mean, it makes absolute truths and stuff, but it doesn't try to do anything that it's not, or else it would be pseudoscience. It doesn't try to make claims about the supernatural or like God and stuff, because if it did, it wouldn't be science anymore.
Yeah, and it does the same sort of like, it is what it is, and it shows that.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
In a very accountable way. Like the scientific method, it works for everything.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of people don't like philosophy, is because it doesn't produce results that are falsifiable and objective. But people who are like that also don't realize that it's not supposed to do that. It's not what it's meant for.
Yeah.
Although maybe a lot of people like who are in philosophy treat it that way. Maybe that's where that taste comes from. No, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. But like, I think that if somebody reads a science fiction book and like assuming that they're like a kind of ignorant person and then they become afraid of technology because of the message in a science fiction book, then that's again is something I blame on that individual for misinterpreting the book. Then I blame on the author, because a lot of people would say, oh, this science fiction, now it's going to make everyone afraid of science or whatever. And it's like, I think that's kind of a bullshit slippery slope argument.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the author's responsibility. Even if the author was like a crazy L. Ron Hubbard and he actually was intending to be that way, it's still not his responsibility if someone else hates science because of it.
And I think I'll readily admit to being extremely skeptical and often fearful of technology. Mm-hmm. But I'm not. But that's a misnomer, because I'm not scared of my laptop's front camera. I'm not scared of.
I'm afraid of that.
Glass and an aperture.
I'm
afraid of the people using it to look at me.
That's a good point.
I am not afraid of technology. Get us better technology. I'm terrified of technology without accountability.
Yeah.
In the hands of people who can use it for evil.
Do you want to take this to the gun argument, or should we stay away from that?
Oh, yikes.
I mean, I'm fine with us expressing our opinions, but I know that that's automatically gonna like cause a thing with anyone involved, because that's the only way I can see this conversation leading to. It's like, well, if we're making all these claims, then we got to talk about guns.
Well,
because it's like I feel like I'm anti, like guns that aren't necessary, but I'm not as anti-gun as I think a lot of people on the left, but I'm also not super pro-gun.
no, I'm anti-gun mostly, unless it's part of your livelihood.
I think
it's fine.
And
like
I honestly do think like the self-defense thing is a good argument, but then it's like people say like, but it's like I don't think you need a fucking like automatic whatever.
Well, yeah, I think those are.
Guns.
I think automatic weapons are illegal anyway.
Yeah. But, but a lot of people think they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I don't know. So I hear the guns don't kill people, people kill people mocked a lot, but
no, I believe it.
I believe that. But the thing is, people without guns kill people a lot less.
Yeah.
People with guns make it really easy for people to kill people.
When I was younger and I kind of fed into my dad's bullshit, I kind of believed the idea that like, well, I'd rather be killed with a gun than be beaten to death. But that's, now that I look at it, it's like a weird kind of defeatist way of looking at it, because it's like, well, I mean, if I get punched to death or shot, I'm still dead either way. So it doesn't really matter how I died, you know?
Yeah, I don't. It's such a complicated issue, but
Yeah, it is, and I don't want to act like I know all the answers either. My biggest worry about gun control, or like excessive gun control, isn't that it's like, oh no, I'm afraid my guns are going to be taken away, because I don't even really care about guns personally. I don't even like them, even though I know how to shoot them because my dad made me do it. But my biggest worry about it is that it's not going to work, and that people are going to have like false hope in it, and it's not actually going to help anyone, and it's just going to be like a thing that people put into policy to make people feel like they're safer when they actually aren't. That's my biggest fear.
I'm afraid of. Here, are you ready for me to back up the conservative argument?
Oh, go ahead. No,
I'm
okay.
afraid of people not having any power.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of a government organization that has guns, but none of the people do.
And I don't want to sound like, oh, you know what Hitler did? The first thing he did was take people's guns away.
Yeah.
Because that's what they always say.
But I'm afraid of creating any such power imbalance like that.
No, I completely
But then again,
agree.
like, isn't it already imbalanced? I don't know.
It's just that I disagree with a lot of pro-gun people and their arguments about, like, I think I've talked to you about this off the podcast, when they say, like, the more guns we have, the more safe we'll be.
No.
And that's I think me being anti-gun, it's mostly against that, because I really do agree with the guns don't kill people, people kill people thing, because it is the person behind the gun that is what matters. But unfortunately, it's like, but you can't stop the evil, but you can control it.
Yeah, the thing is, the guns don't kill people, people kill people becomes sort of a moot point, because, well, like, of course they don't.
Yeah.
Guns are not autonomous.
Yeah.
Drones don't fly themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of do, but somebody has to program them. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that becomes like a non-issue. It's like, yeah, you're right, but people are the ones using guns, so we have to look at it that way.
Yeah.
So we have to look at it like the gun becomes the person holding the gun and the gun itself.
Yeah.
That's what a gun is.
Yeah.
A gun sitting on a table
It's not a gun.
in an empty room with no people around it is non-threatening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I said it's not a gun, and I didn't mean that literally. I meant that.
You meant
as,
that
like,
in the
it's
Iron
not
Giant kind of way.
functionally-
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You seen the Iron Giant?
Yeah. What is that? What do you mean?
He says, "I am not a gun."
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Because he was built to be a weapon.
I haven't seen it as much
I
as
fucking
you.
love that
I
movie
do
so
too.
goddamn much.
I love almost everything that Brad Bird has made.
Yeah.
He's a great director.
So what was I saying? It just like, I agree. Philosophically, yes, people do kill people.
Yeah.
But practically, they use guns to do that.
Yeah.
They use guns to do that really quickly.
Yeah.
I think the fact that, like, Because then it's like, do you outlaw muscles?
Yeah, I know. It's like, do you outlaw fists if you can beat
Yeah.
someone to death?
I think the fact that guns are so good at killing people
Yeah.
quickly is the problem with
Yeah.
them. It's like it's so
Well, I
much
mean,
instantaneous
the
power.
problem is that, yeah, exactly. It gives people power is what I was going to say.
It gives people power to make split-second decisions that have horrific consequences.
And not even that. It gives people power to threaten other people and get what they want because people know they have the power because they know how dangerous guns are.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I guess if you were good enough, you could kill someone with a knife just as quickly.
Yeah. But it's like I wouldn't argue for like getting rid of knives.
No, yeah, me neither. It's so complicated. I don't know. Of course I'm against. Of course, yes. There's too much gun violence here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean
But I don't know how to fix that.
The problem for me is that it's like a disconnect of like I don't like gun violence and I also don't like the government having too much control over things. So my take on like when you feel like you need there to be laws against things, it's okay for the government to have some control as long as we're in control of the government's policies, which sometimes isn't possible, but sometimes it is. You know, sometimes we can have an influence in like what's going on and what isn't going on. But guns, I just think like I'm fine if people want to have guns for self-defense. But I don't think that like there are people I've even known and talked to who believed that like teachers should have guns to prevent school shootings and bullshit like that. And it's like I think that like some teachers might be more likely to commit school shootings than the students even sometimes. Like
I've talked to teachers.
I know I've seen them. I don't trust the mental health of the people teaching America's youth. You know, enough. Or like if the teacher leaves the classroom, a kid, and leaves the gun in the drawer unlocked, a kid could get to that. And things like that, you know.
Yeah, just it's a numbers game at that point. It's like the more guns you have in schools, if there are 0 guns in a school, the odds that someone is going to bring a gun to the school are not 0, but they're very low. Yeah. But if there's already many guns in schools, the odds that they will go off in the schools goes up a lot.
Yeah, and here's one of the most convincing arguments against that gun control won't work is the idea that it's like, well, if you ban guns, then, and I guess we're talking about all guns, or like it's just a general idea of it.
Sure, yeah.
Then criminals are still going to have guns because they just buy guns from other criminals because they don't follow the law. And so then it's like, okay, then all the innocent people who follow the law are going to be without guns, and all the criminals are going to have guns.
And unfortunately, I think there's something to that.
No, there's something to it, but it's not complete.
I was thinking about that.
I don't think it's a complete theory because, let's say we ban automatic weapons, but we allow like shotguns or things for people to have. It's like you can kill someone with an automatic weapon with a shotgun. It's like you don't need to make all these really dangerous guns legal in order to protect yourself from other people with guns, because I think what a lot of conservatives think is they think if everybody had guns, then they'd all be able to protect themselves from other people with guns, and so they'd be safe.
It becomes an arms race.
But and I feel like you're being almost weirdly too optimistic in the nature of human beings if you really think that everyone's going to be responsible with their guns and not cause problems.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think with the gun control issue specifically, it's a place where we need a very middle ground thing, like unlike a lot of other political situations.
I don't know. I don't think, given the climate of this country, we will ever be able to
get a middle ground, you mean?
I don't know.
That's a good point.
I don't know if, and I have something to talk about after this too. I just thought of that's interesting and sort of related.
Oh,
but
cool.
I almost said humans. Americans are so pro-gun because it's in our Constitution.
Oh.
And
well, fuck the Constitution. Who cares?
Well, yeah, and have you heard those things?
The Constitution supposed to be malleable?
Yes, I was just going to say that. Have you heard that like the framers of the Constitution were like, yeah, this will probably last 2 or 3 decades at most before we have another revolution. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, they were like, we're going to have like we're gonna overhaul our political system all the time so that it's always
I thought that was kind of the point
up to date, and everyone just like took it as gospel right
that's
away.
weird.
And now people are so like, but guns are in the Constitution. But the guns back then took a minute to load and fired one shot.
Yeah, it's true.
And they were used for defending against the British, who also had those minute-to-load one-shot guns, and for killing a deer so you could eat freeze it and eat in the winter, or skin it and prepare whatever. You know what I mean?
One thing that like specifically I've only heard from my dad was an argument, because he's obviously like he's really pro-gun.
Yeah.
But he said like a lot of people say, oh, you don't need automatic weapons and stuff, but it's also like, I don't need a sports car, but I can still get one. And I feel like that's not a fair comparison.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's like not like banning. I don't feel like banning sports cars is the same as banning automatic weapons, because sports cars aren't designed to kill people.
He's making the argument that if he wants it, he should have it.
Yeah,
and that's a stupid bullshit argument.
If he wants it, he should be allowed to have it. And I don't think that's necessarily always true.
No, I think generally the idea of like opportunity and things like that, like if you want that extends to like basic rights.
Yeah.
And some like access to information.
Or I think
like that.
also what he was trying to
I think beyond that, you got to understand that this is all privilege.
I think what he was trying to say with that was that like a sports car isn't practical, just like an automatic weapon has no practical use in modern everyday world. But he was like, but that doesn't mean you should ban it. And I'm like, but I think an automatic weapon is a lot more dangerous to people than a sports car, even though you can kill people with a sports car.
Sports cars are not designed to kill lots of people quickly. They're designed to go fast.
It's like, what do you do with an automatic weapon when you have one, or even a semi-automatic weapon? It's like what do you use it for that you can't use with a normal gun?
Yeah, like what? I've always thought that if I were gonna ever shoot a gun, it would be for the fun of like aiming at something. That's why I play shooty games, because I like the technical, like the movement of aiming something, and that might be fun in real life too. I don't know. That's why
I've done it before.
That's why I pitched in baseball, because it was like fun precision stuff, and like that kind of power is nice. But when you get into automatic weapons and things like that, then you're just doing it to like experience
no skill,
that
really.
Crazy
it's
intense
just like
power.
Gangsters who spray.
Yeah, that's the old spray and pray.
Yeah. Well, I also think but I do understand the cathartic power of destruction.
Absolutely, but isn't there some way that we can do that without bringing like you can
simulate it, or you can also do it in real life in a safe environment.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, where's the upper limit to that argument?
What do you mean?
Like, when is a weapon too much for a person to own?
I would say it ends at semi-automatic weapons.
Yeah, I would say that too.
But
like for a person who believes that automatic weapons should be legal and readily available to whoever wants them, and it has like because all of them will do that. Like, well, they have to have the training to know how to use it. They'll all backpedal for that.
Yeah. Well, do you? You could kill someone with a gun and not know how to use it.
No, that's what they mean.
Oh.
I'm strawmanning and I'm vilifying all of them here.
Oh.
So just
okay.
Be aware of that. But I think that's a common thing to be like, well, of course, proper training is important. But I think that's said as sort of like what's it called? A statement that you say just to calm people down, but has no weight.
I don't know.
It's just like empty reassurance.
Yeah.
I think that's just an empty.
I think there's a word for it.
Yeah, I can't remember it. Whatever. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people who argue for like the right to own crazy weapons will say that to try and make the people they're talking to feel better about it. But I don't know. I don't know how many of them really believe that. I was getting at something, and it was that the people who think that way, I want to know what their upper limit is. Like, should I be able to own hand grenades?
I think one of the things that...
Should I be able to own a Predator missile?
One of the things that keeps...
Is it a drone? I don't know.
Gnawing at my own brain is that I'm also someone who doesn't want guns. And so someone could make the argument that, like, just because I don't want guns doesn't mean I should be able to take that away from someone else. You know what I mean? But it's also like, I mean, I think we should be able to take some things away from other, because it's like, I don't want to rape and kill people, but I should be
able to take away your penis.
You don't need a penis to rape people, Brady.
You're right. We should be able to take away your brain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I meant is, and obviously making that illegal isn't going to stop those things from happening either. But it's still like, I think it does curb it at least a little bit to make things like that illegal.
Yeah, I think it's very selfish and immature to assume that just because you want something, you should have it, even when it flies in the face of millions of educated individuals like you.
Yeah.
You should realize that you're in the minority, and maybe this is something you have to compromise in order to live peacefully in where you are.
Yeah.
Now, but then the argument is like, what if somebody said, and the predominant idea was that art was the most dangerous thing and that we had to outlaw it. Mm-hmm. And everyone felt that way.
That's been a thing in like the Middle Ages and shit.
Yeah. And so I'm sure that's how gun fanatics feel. I'm sure it is. It's like how people who are against abortion are convinced that you're killing human babies who are conscious and
well,
they're convinced. Well, not whatever. That's an overstatement. They're convinced that you're killing babies.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, they believe that with their entire being.
Well, I mean, even art is like, it has some restrictions. Obviously, because like what I said, it's like you can kill someone and call it art, but that's still not going to be allowed.
Yeah, it's important to remember, or it's important to acknowledge that you're not alone on the planet. You don't exist in a vacuum. Your actions affect others. And so if you're at all a good person, you should at least consider compromising somehow. And I can't make anyone compromise, but I'd do it if I believed it was worth it.
Yeah.
I'd take a really hard look at it if I didn't believe it was worth it.
There's something I think about a lot, and it's because I tend to preach this philosophy of individuality and like doing whatever you want, if it's what you want to do. And I still strongly believe in that. But I also think that like, and this isn't a way of saying that and then stepping back from it, because I still wholeheartedly believe in it. But I think that there's no such thing as living a life without rules. Even though I generally I don't like rules. I think that being an individual and being independent and having individual freedom has more to do with being able to choose your own rules than it does with just ignoring all rules completely. Because if I wanted to ignore all rules completely and just do everything that was wrong, then I would be doing things that I didn't want to do just because they're taboo. You know, I wouldn't kill someone just because it's shocking.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, or just because I'm not allowed to. It's like, I think that if you do things just because people don't want you to, and for no other reason than that, then you're just as controlled as someone who does those things because they're told to. It's like you're doing something in bad faith. You're not doing it for a genuine reason. And so, you know, like, being free is the ability to decide which rules you want to follow and which rules you want to break. And that's what being a individual means to me, you know?
I think, as you were saying that, I was thinking about how that sounds good and I agree with it, but then there are some people who would absolutely kill people.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that made me think that, like, maybe that's why people own guns. Because, like, they, instead of grappling with the fact that everyone is different and some people make choices deliberately to hurt others, and instead of living life vulnerable to that and acknowledging that the entire spectrum of human existence, it has its good and its bad parts, some people just want to buy guns and hunker down and protect themselves and say, fuck everybody else, I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to do it at whatever cost is necessary. Yeah. So I see where they're coming from, but it's not me, and I think that's a harmful way to think.
I think, going back to what you said about how, like, yeah, there are going to be people who just want to kill people for fun and not care. I think that what I'm saying as an individual also can extend to the law. like, and what I mean by that is, I don't think that we should live in like a lawless society, even though I typically am against like the government and against government control and arbitrary rules that don't matter. It's like I think that we as citizens should be able to choose which laws we want to follow and uphold and which laws we don't. And like, yeah, I know you're right. Like some people are just going to not do it anyway. But what can you do about the outliers? It's like,
I don't know.
No matter what you believe in, there's always going to be serial killers and rapists. It's like having excessive authority over a population is never, ever going to end suffering.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Can't
it's
be
like,
done.
what can you do about someone who just wants to kill people for fun? There's nothing you can do.
I think maybe the answer to the gun violence problem doesn't lie in guns. I think it's got to be in mental health.
I think that's
mental
a big
health
part
and
of
justice.
it.
I think would take care of a whole lot of it.
I think that the gun problem is so incredibly complicated and intricate, but I do absolutely think mental health is a big part of it. I think there'd be a lot less mental health. I mean, there'd be not a lot less mental health. There'd be a lot less mental health. There'd be a lot less fucking gun violence if we understood mental health and were able to grab a hold of it. Because I still think trying to end anything is always the best way to do it is to start with the individual and trying to understand humans than it is to just tell people to stop. Because if there's anything we've learned with like telling people not to kill people, it's like that's not gonna fucking work.
It's just like hitting oobleck.
Yeah.
It's just gonna stiffen up to resist you.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta
That's
ease.
Incredible metaphor.
You gotta ease in slowly.
Yeah, but I also think but that doesn't mean that we should say, oh well, then let's just make all guns legal, since making them illegal isn't gonna stop gun violence. It's like I think that's kind of a weird extreme point that's only going to open the door for more violence. It's going to give people who are mentally ill more opportunities to get power.
We're just like loading the probability for there to be gun violence.
Yeah.
And I think we got to find a way to decrease the probability as much as we can while also giving people the right to have what they want to, whether that's to defend themselves or just because they're enthusiasts. And I have met people who are like safe gun enthusiasts.
Yeah, I know.
I have a lot
really
of them
cool.
related to my family because my family grew up in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And or my family is originally both sides are originally from the Midwest, and still.
I don't think all gun enthusiasts are like sickos or anything.
No, and I want to tell this story again. I might have told it before. And do you mind if we end on this? I feel like
we have been on for a while.
We're sort of rehashing.
Yeah.
I think at this point we did talk about a lot of stuff. Well, I was back in Iowa, in like rural Iowa, real, redneck country.
Yeah.
For my grandpa's funeral last April, so about a year ago, and two of my, I guess they're second cousins, because that's like cousins who are your parents' age, right? Something like that. Or a second cousin and like a great uncle or something like that. Anyway, family that wasn't immediate but wasn't too distant. Gun owners, hunters, probably self-proclaimed rednecks. And somehow we got talking about the issue of gun violence and gun control, which is something we always sort of avoid.
Yeah.
But both of them surprised us by saying that, oh yeah, something's got to be done.
Oh yeah.
They said this dressed in all camo.
That's interesting.
Like they probably had gone hunting earlier that month.
Yeah.
And they were avid hunters and outdoorsmen and gun owners, but they said something has got to change because this was not the intent of the framers of the Constitution.
Yeah.
They were absolutely for leaving farmers with their rifles to hunt and defend their livestock and things like that, and kill pests and things. And they were insistent that we didn't need any more than that, and any more than that was irresponsible. And it was an incredibly sensitive point of view from these people that I misjudged as sort of like backwater individuals.
A lot too, and I think a lot of people do that for a lot of people. It's like all
so much easier to do that,
and that's why I know it's convenient. But it's like that's one of the reasons it's so important to constantly go out and talk to people and have conversations with people that you wouldn't normally, and try to talk to people that you have presumptions about, because that makes you like a stronger person. It makes you more experienced. It makes you better,
more
able
worldly
to,
and more.
There's a word called what the fuck is it called? It's called like integrative complexity.
Ooh, I don't know that
And
one.
it's about, it means your ability to like take a lot of different pieces of information, kind of like what we were talking about, and like see different people's sides, and then instead of just like going back and forth between opinions or just settling on a neutral middle ground, it's able to take all those things and come up with like a more nuanced idea around it or something.
Yeah, I would. I
That's
guess
something
colloquially, I'd call that worldliness.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Or wisdom.
Yeah.
I think I talked about this with Kaya just yesterday or this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about how we recently had police over at my house because windows got smashed. Did I talk about that? Maybe I did. I don't know.
No, you talked about it to me, but I don't think on the podcast.
It's really unimportant, but basically police were over, and I don't interact with the police that much.
Mm.
And the people I'm around, I think rightly so, are very, very critical of the police.
Mm.
And I subscribe to that too. But then I was talking to both of these officers, and they were nice people.
They were both super nice.
And they were incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
And I almost felt a twinge of like, God, it must suck.
Oh, absolutely.
To be on the receiving end of that as an individual in that organization that is a good one.
Well, I'm not the kind of person who advocates for like throwing rocks at policemen and screaming at them on the street when they're just not fucking doing anything. But I'm still really critical of the police, and I'm typically skeptical of them even as individuals because we've given them a position of power. It's like automatically once you're a police officer, you have a position of power. There's no argument, and you should always be critical of people who have power.
Yeah.
And it's like if you meet one and they're a nice person, then it's like, well, you got to think, it's like, would they be that nice if they weren't a policeman or something? Or it's like, if they do something awful, it's like, would they really be that awful if they weren't a policeman? It's like, how much of it is them as a person? How much of it is their position and power? And I kind of think an analogy to that would be like, you wouldn't say that everyone who works at McDonald's is a horrible person who will go to hell, but that doesn't mean that like you're not still contributing to something bad if you're working at McDonald's and working under the gun of this evil corporation who's selling bullshit to people.
Yeah, quite literally
manipulative.
Bad for people's health.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of the same. It's like that's why I like the acronym All Cops Are Bad, the ACAB. Sometimes it's called All Cops Are Bastards, but there's like different versions of it. And I don't think anyone I've met who holds that acronym actually believes that every cop individually is like a horrible person who won't go to heaven when they die. I think it has more to do with like the fact that like being a cop automatically makes you under this system that's broken. And so you as a cop legally have to follow laws, and you have to arrest people who are doing things that aren't wrong. If you're wearing that suit, you have to behave a certain way.
Next time on Context Blues, we fix the police force.
I was just about to say, like, I thought about ending this thing with, and now that we've solved gun violence.
Yeah, we did it, boys.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I don't want to get into the whole police issue because that's closely related to guns, and we've done enough damage already.
I know, but who cares? I mean, it's better to talk about this stuff and potentially be wrong.
Well, I
just
meant
fucking talk about
I just meant I'm kind of running out of things to say,
okay.
and I kind of want to end this one here because I think it's a really solid one. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah,
basically.
it's a pretty good one.
And I just wanted to say that what I was talking about with Kaya and what I firmly believe is that it is so rare to meet a person who I can comfortably call bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost never. I can't think of any really that I would condemn and say this is a bad person who you shouldn't interact with.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people I choose not to interact with or who I disagree with vehemently, but going out and talking to people, especially ones you don't agree with.
I would even talk to Nazis.
I would too, if I didn't feel personally threatened, and I'm a blonde white guy, so I am generally fine.
There's that, and it's true.
I'm also not straight, so that they might
And I don't,
Not
but I
enjoy,
don't
but-
even think white supremacy is good for white people. It's
That's
like,
well, that's not what I'm trying to say. I meant I would do that, and I'm in a place to do that because I'm visually,
Yeah.
I am not immediately threatened
yeah.
or put in danger by their
That's kind
ideology.
of why I wear the anti-swastika thing, because it's
Yeah.
like that sends the signal. Like some people could argue that that's kind of self-indulgent and like, oh, well, everybody hates Nazis. And I'm like,
Yeah, but not everybody wears that.
That's true. Not everybody does hate Nazis. And,
Unfortunately.
I kind of like that puts me in a position where they would immediately consider them my enemy or me their enemy.
Yeah.
Because that makes you more vulnerable, and I think that's important. Especially like I would even talk to a Nazi while wearing something like that, because I think that would like incite a conversation at least.
Yeah, and so that's what it is, right? I think individuals are pretty much. You're pretty much. It's almost always a good idea to talk to individuals about what they believe.
Yeah, I've learned so much by doing that.
Systems and organizations get dangerous.
Yes, I think that's the main takeaway. It's like because there could be a guy who's a Nazi, and like I don't think it's good to be a Nazi, but he could have chose that path because he's like a broken person, and that's what that was the answer to his problems or something.
And the worst that you can get out of that is an understanding of his problems.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like there's nothing bad that can happen from talking to someone and letting you listen to their opinions, because at the very least either your opinion will change or you'll have another reason to believe what you already believed. It's like it's never going to be the end of the world.
Yeah, talking is good. That's why we do this.
Exactly, and I think that's a perfect way to end this episode.
All right.
Talking is good.
Bye.
Bye.